When it comes to packing mistakes, shoes are at the top of the list. Almost every first-time cruiser overpacks them. They imagine every outfit needing a different pair, so the suitcase ends up filled with sneakers, sandals, heels, loafers, and flip-flops. But what really happens is simple. You spend most of the cruise in the same 2 or 3 pairs. One seasoned cruiser laughed as she remembered packing 7 pairs for her first trip, only to realize she wore just a pair of sandals during the day and 1 pair of dress shoes at dinner. Everything else stayed untouched at the bottom of her bag. Experienced travelers now know that less is more, and that comfort beats style every time, because walking around a cruise ship means thousands of steps a day, not a slow stroll through a hotel lobby. Another item that takes up unnecessary space is the beach towel. New passengers imagine needing one for every swim and every beach trip, but what they don't know is that the cruise line already provides them. Near the pool, you'll find towel stations, and for shore excursions, the ship hands them out as well. The only rule is simple: you must return them. Otherwise, the cost shows up on your bill. One family admitted they packed 3 huge towels from home, stuffing them into their luggage, only to discover fresh towels waiting for them on board. Those bulky towels never left the cabin and ended up being nothing but wasted weight. Books are another item that experienced cruisers leave behind. Many new passengers pack thick hardcovers thinking they'll finally have time to read them. But between the poolside fun, shows, meals, and shore excursions, most of those books never get opened. One traveler brought along 2 heavy novels and didn't touch a single page. By the time she realized it, her suitcase felt heavier for no reason. Nowadays, she uses a lightweight e-reader or simply borrows a book from the ship's library, which most cruise ships have tucked away in a quiet corner. Toiletries are another trap. First-time cruisers often carry full-size bottles of shampoo, conditioner, hairspray, and giant tubes of sunscreen. Not only do they take up space, but they sometimes leak inside the suitcase. Experienced cruisers learned that the ships already provide basic shampoo and soap, and anything else can be picked up in port shops if truly needed. Travel-sized bottles are enough for most people, and they leave room for souvenirs instead of weighing the bag down with liquids. Jewelry is something else many people regret bringing. At first, cruises seem glamorous, so packing diamonds and gold feels natural. But wearing expensive pieces in crowded dining rooms or during shore excursions is a recipe for worry. It's easy to lose an earring at the pool or misplace a necklace in the cabin. Many seasoned cruisers now avoid bringing valuable jewelry altogether, relying instead on costume pieces that still look elegant without the stress. Heavy jackets are another item that rarely earns its spot in a suitcase. Unless you're cruising somewhere like Alaska or Norway, most destinations stay warm, even at night. A light sweater or shawl is usually all you'll need. One cruiser told the story of her husband, who packed a massive parka for their Caribbean trip. He wore it once, only for a quick photo on deck, and then carried it pointlessly for the rest of the cruise. The jacket spent more time in the closet than on his shoulders. Hair dryers and irons are often packed by first-timers who don't know the rules. Cabins already come with basic hair dryers, and irons are actually banned for safety reasons. They're considered a fire hazard, and security may confiscate them before you board. Experienced cruisers know that wrinkle-release spray does the trick for clothes, and the ship's dryer is usually enough for hair. Packing your own bulky tools is only asking for trouble. When it comes to clothing, formal outfits are another common mistake. Some passengers pack multiple gowns, tuxedos, and suits, expecting glamorous dinners every night. In reality, modern cruises are far more relaxed. Most people wear cocktail dresses, polos, or slacks, and only a couple of outfits are needed for the fancier evenings. A woman once packed 3 gowns and a sequined dress for a 7-day cruise. She wore one gown to dinner and realized no one cared what anyone else wore. Now she saves her suitcase space for more practical items instead. Cash is another thing that often gets overpacked. New cruisers assume they'll need thick wallets of bills for every purchase. The truth is that almost everything on the ship is charged to your cabin card. Cash is only useful in small amounts, usually for tipping porters or paying at local markets during port stops. Seasoned cruisers keep only a little with them and avoid carrying large sums, which only creates unnecessary stress. And finally, the number one item experienced cruisers never bring anymore is uncomfortable shoes. Fancy heels or stiff dress shoes might look good for a short while, but cruise ships are massive. You'll walk thousands of steps every single day. Whether it's to the dining room, the theater, or exploring in port, painful shoes quickly turn into regret. Seasoned travelers have learned to put comfort first, style second. A good pair of versatile, comfortable shoes will carry you much further than anything you can't walk in. When you put all of these lessons together, it becomes clear that packing for a cruise is not about bringing everything you might want. It's about bringing only what you truly need. The less you pack, the lighter you travel, the easier it is to move through airports, cabins, and ports, and the more freedom you have to enjoy the trip. Experienced cruisers have learned these lessons through trial and error, sometimes by overpacking, sometimes by carrying heavy bags they never opened, and sometimes by losing things they wish they had left at home. Now they know better. The truth is simple. Packing smart is part of cruising smart. And the next time you prepare for a voyage, remember this list of things you no longer need to carry. What you leave at home is just as important as what you bring with you. Shoes always end up being the first regret. One man remembered how he packed a different pair for every outfit. Formal loafers, casual sneakers, gym trainers, flip-flops, sandals, even boat shoes. By the end of his 7-day cruise, he realized he had worn just 2 pairs. His sneakers carried him through ports, excursions, and long days walking the ship. His sandals handled everything else. The rest never left the closet. He laughed about it later, but at the time it felt like wasted space. Experienced cruisers often joke that first-timers pack for a fashion show, while they themselves pack for real life. And real life on a cruise means comfort above all else. Another common mistake is bringing towels from home. Imagine stuffing a giant, fluffy towel into your suitcase, only to find out the ship has hundreds of them, neatly stacked by the pool or folded in your cabin. One family admitted they carried 3 towels each for their beach days. Their bags were heavier, harder to close, and bulkier than ever. When they boarded, they discovered the ship had a towel station by the pool and another near the gangway for shore trips. They carried their towels back home untouched, realizing they could have packed lighter and enjoyed their vacation more. Books tell the same story. A passenger once carried 2 thick hardcovers in her bag, planning to finally catch up on reading. But days on a cruise don't pass the way you expect. You wake up, enjoy breakfast, head to an excursion, return for lunch, relax at the pool, dress up for dinner, watch a show, and before you know it, the day is gone. She opened her book only once, and it sat on the bedside table for the rest of the trip. The lesson is clear. Books add weight, but time rarely allows for them. That's why seasoned cruisers now use e-readers or rely on the ship's library, where you can find novels waiting without carrying the burden yourself. Toiletries are another thing that often end up wasted. First-timers fill their bags with full-size bottles of shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and sprays. Some even wrap them in plastic bags, worried they'll leak. And many times, they do. A cruiser once found his favorite shampoo had exploded in his suitcase, soaking his clothes before the trip even began. Experienced travelers learned that ships already supply basic toiletries, and if you want something more, it's better to carry small travel bottles. The lighter your bag, the less stress you carry, and the fewer surprises you face when you open it. Jewelry can cause even bigger regrets. Cruises may feel glamorous, with formal nights and elegant dinners, but expensive jewelry only creates worry. One woman wore her wedding necklace to a beach excursion. Somewhere between snorkeling and sunbathing, it disappeared. She spent the rest of the day searching the sand, but it was gone forever. The rest of her vacation felt ruined by the loss. That is why many experienced cruisers now bring costume jewelry. Pieces that look nice in photos, but don't bring heartbreak if misplaced. They know the real luxury of a cruise isn't take what you wear. It is the experience itself. The story of jackets is similar. A man once packed a heavy coat for a Caribbean cruise, thinking nights at sea would be cold. He wore it once, only for a picture on deck, and then it hung uselessly in the closet for the rest of the trip. The ship's air conditioning and ocean breeze may feel cool, but a light sweater or shawl is always enough. Experienced cruisers have learned to match their packing to their destination, not to their imagination. Hair dryers and irons are another surprise. Many first-timers don't know that irons are strictly banned. Cruise ships treat them as a fire hazard, and security may confiscate them before you board. Hair dryers, on the other hand, are already provided in the cabin. A woman once packed her full-size salon dryer, only to discover the ship had one ready, taking up precious space for nothing. Today, she carries a tiny travel dryer as backup, but leaves the big one at home. Wrinkles in clothes can be handled with wrinkle release spray, or by hanging clothes in the bathroom while taking a hot shower. The steam does the work without breaking any rules. Formal wear is one of the biggest packing traps. The idea of cruise elegance makes people imagine gowns, tuxedos, and sparkling dresses for every night. A couple once packed an entire suitcase filled only with formal outfits. On board, they realized most people dressed far more casually. A cocktail dress, a nice shirt, or slacks were more than enough. Their extra suitcase went nearly untouched, and they had to carry it through airports and taxis for no reason. Experienced cruisers learned long ago that one or two nice outfits are plenty, and nobody on the ship is judging what you wear. Cash is another thing that new passengers misunderstand. A man once carried over $1,000 in cash, fearing his card wouldn't work. On board, he discovered that nearly every purchase, from cocktails to souvenirs, was charged to his cabin key. His stack of bills stayed locked in the safe all week. The only times he needed cash were to tip the porter at the port and to buy a handmade bracelet from a local vendor on shore. Now, he only carries small bills and a bit of local currency, letting his card handle the rest. And then, of course, there are the shoes, the uncomfortable, fancy ones that no one really needs. A woman once wore brand new heels on formal night. By the time she walked from her cabin to the dining room, her feet were blistered. She spent the rest of the cruise limping in flip-flops. The lesson spread quickly among her travel group. Comfort first, always. Experienced cruisers know that you walk miles every day on a ship. No outfit is worth painful shoes. By the time you add up all these mistakes, the truth is clear. And the difference between a first-time cruiser and an experienced one often comes down to what they don't pack. The veterans have learned, sometimes the hard way, that packing light is freedom. It's not about denying yourself. It's about choosing wisely, traveling smarter, and focusing on the joy of the journey rather than the burden of heavy bags. Shoes remain the classic overpacking story. A young couple once shared how they brought a whole duffel bag just for shoes. She had 5 pairs of heels, 3 pairs of sandals, and 2 pairs of flats. He carried running shoes, dress shoes, and boat shoes. They laughed about it later because after 7 days at sea, both had worn exactly 2 pairs each. The rest sat untouched, taking up half their luggage. They had to drag that heavy bag through airports, buses, and taxis, realizing they could have traveled twice as light. That was the trip that taught them the golden rule. Comfort matters more than choice. Seasoned cruisers will tell you that the ship is no place for a fashion show. It's a place for long walks on deck, wandering through ports, and standing in buffet lines. And no one remembers your shoes, but your feet always will. Beach towels fall into the same trap. New cruisers think they'll need to bring their own, forgetting that the ship already provides them. A family once stuffed 6 towels into their bags, using nearly half their suitcase space. They boarded only to find fluffy towels rolled neatly by the pool and stacked at the gangway for excursions. Their own towels never left the cabin, and when they unpacked at home, they realized they had carried them around the Caribbean for nothing. That was the last time they packed something the cruise line was happy to provide. Experienced travelers now say, if the ship already supplies it, leave yours at home. Books are another lesson most passengers learn quickly. There's a romantic idea of reading on a lounge chair with the ocean breeze, but the reality is that cruises are full of activities from morning to night. One passenger carried 2 thick novels on her first voyage, determined to catch up on reading. By day 2, her schedule was already full. Breakfast, pool time, trivia games, a port excursion, dinner, and a late-night show. She realized she hadn't opened a single page. By the end of the week, the books had become dead weight. Now she travels with a slim e-reader instead, and even that sometimes goes untouched. Seasoned cruisers laugh when they remember their first overstuffed library, but they all say the same thing. Cruises keep you busy, and your time will be too full to read. Toiletries tell a different kind of story, one that usually ends in mess. A first-time cruiser once packed full-size bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and hairspray, wrapping them in plastic bags. When she arrived, her suitcase smelled like coconut shampoo, and half her clothes were soaked. The ship already had soap and shampoo waiting in her bathroom. By the second cruise, she had switched to travel bottles and carried only the essentials. Most experienced cruisers agree. Packing large bottles is a rookie mistake. The lighter your bag, the easier your trip, and if you need anything extra, ports and ship shops always sell it. Jewelry carries heavier regret. On one sailing, a woman wore her diamond earrings to dinner, planning to take photos. Somewhere between dessert and the theatre, one earring slipped away. She never found it. She admitted she spent the rest of the cruise thinking about the loss, unable to fully relax. After that, she never travelled with expensive pieces again. Costume jewelry gave her the same sparkle without the fear of losing something precious. Seasoned travellers say the same. A cruise is no place to gamble with valuables, especially when relaxation is the real goal. Heavy jackets tell another story of wasted effort. A man preparing for a Caribbean cruise packed a full winter coat, convinced nights on the open ocean would be freezing. He wore it once, standing on deck for a quick selfie under the stars. The rest of the time, it stayed in his closet, taking up space. When he returned home, he swore never to pack heavy outerwear again unless the destination called for it. Alaska, Norway, and Antarctica might demand it, but the Caribbean never will. Light sweaters and shawls are all that most passengers ever use. Experienced cruisers now laugh at their own early mistakes, remembering the coats that traveled thousands of miles without ever leaving the cabin. Hair dryers and irons are mistakes that often get confiscated before they even reach the cabin. A woman once carried her full-size salon dryer and a small iron in her suitcase. At boarding, security pulled her bag aside. The iron was removed as a fire hazard, and the dryer was unnecessary because the cabin already had one. She carried them home unused, realizing she had packed extra weight for nothing. Seasoned cruisers learned that cruise ships don't allow irons at all, and that wrinkle release spray, or simple bathroom steam, solves the problem. As for hair, the built-in dryers may not be perfect, but they work. Packing your own full-sized versions only creates stress.